Okay, we're recording. What's up, guys?
What's
This is
going on,
Hameed.
boys?
What's up?
What's
What's
going
up?
on?
Hey,
So we're doing a fireside chat. I think this is going to be one of many with the three of us, and we're going to try to bring on more people as well. Because I just think, and I'm sure you guys agree with me, we need to do more fireside chats, more discussions, as opposed to just interviews and just ourselves on camera, right? So
Mhm.
So we have Pete and I'm sorry, man, I forgot your name as well because
Mem.
it's on Mem. Okay, so we have
Yeah.
Pete and Mem, Wolf of Bitcoins. That's how we
Yes.
met on Instagram, right? So, and we got my man Dan Brown from Bitcoin Barstool podcast and Crypto 10X
what's
channel.
going on, fellas?
What's going on, guys? How's everything?
Everything is good. Well, as good as Everything it
Awesome.
is
Awesome.
good,
Mhm.
can be, considering
Apart from the market.
the
Yeah.
year we've had.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So yeah, let's talk, man. What's going on in the market? We see the price keeps dropping and the market cap that is keeps dropping as well. What do you guys see going on over
Yeah,
the next 60 days,
there's
man?
a bit of a sell-off, right? This last week, especially too, with the stock market.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the S&P dropped another, not S&P, I'm sorry, the Dow dropped another 500 points today, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh
Yeah,
shoot, did it? I didn't even see today. I saw it last time. I think it was yesterday. I saw it drop, and people are already talking about recession like numbers and how this might be the
yep,
Yeah,
signal. The bubbles finally popping. Which I mean, you guys are in the States, so it affects you guys. We're up here in Canada, but we always get the aftermath from you guys. But it's pretty interesting to watch down there.
yeah. I don't think there's going to be a recession that soon. I think it will eventually come, but I think it's going to bounce. They always manipulate it and they pump more into it, and I think it will recover. And I think the crypto market will recover probably next year. But I still think we're going to go lower.
What do you guys think? Like, you guys live in the States, you guys are living it every day. What do you guys think? What's going on down there?
you can't kick the can down the road much longer.
Mm.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is we've been on a 10-year long bull run in the
Yeah.
US
Yeah.
and it's all artificial. So I was with my friend a few weeks back and he put it very well. He said there's a, like, between the rich and everyone else, there's like a crack in the ground, right? And that crack is just growing wider and wider every single day. And for us, we're trying to jump across that crack to get to becoming wealthy and, living the life we want to live and, having a life of freedom and doing whatever the hell we want to do and also contribute back to humanity, right? But to jump across that crack is just getting harder and harder every single day. So what I'm saying is that this thing is not sustainable. It can't keep going on. Everything, the markets are artificial. The valuations for these companies are ridiculous. I mean, we saw a snapshot of it last year just in the crypto market alone. Now we're talking about on a large scale with the US market, with the past 10 years, with the stock market, with everything. Bottom line is the government's just printing us into oblivion and we are losing value on our purchasing power every single day. And the fact that we have to spend a significant amount of our mental bandwidth and our time to preserve our purchasing power is already a problem and a red flag, in my opinion. That's why these products have popped up over the past several decades, like fund managers, mutual funds, um, CD accounts, all this, these financial vehicles where they just keep charging us so many fees on top of the time we have to take to research which fund we want to invest in to preserve our purchasing power, because we're losing, I don't know the numbers exactly, but I'm assuming we're losing like 2 to 4% a year in inflation.
Yeah, it's 3% spending power a year that most countries lose due to inflation, and the U.S. is due for
Yeah.
some type of recession because of, like you said, they're just printing so much currency, and the inflation that is resulting because of that is going to create another recession. Like eventually, it's
Yeah.
due.
Yeah. And it's going to get worse, man. Like dude, look, the banks have no risk. All the risk is on us.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what kind of fucking business deal is that? You know what I mean? Like this just doesn't make sense. So it's due. Now when it's going to happen, I don't know. I was talking to one of my buddies who's a trader as well last night. He's been in the markets for quite some time, probably close to a decade, and he even says like he thinks it's going to happen in 2019. I don't know. I don't like to speculate too much, even though I probably do quite a bit. But yeah, I think we're due in the next probably 24 months. I think we're due for something, and I think it's gonna be worse in 2008. That's just
it will be worse. And honestly, I'm a believer in this being the actual last recession. Like I think it's going to completely destroy the financial system. But I think that they have something in place, and it is to do with cryptocurrency. And I think that when this does happen, whenever this next recession happens, I don't think we're going to be able to recover for it. We just about, like after that last crash in 2008, we had that whole liquidity issue that we had just about got solved. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they can do what they've done again and be able to save the financial system. So yeah. I think they have some kind of plan in place already, and it is to do with some kind of digital currency. I don't know what it is, but I think that's where that's what's going to happen. That it's going to shift into digital. The world's finances are going to shift into digital currency. I don't think it's going to be Bitcoin, to be honest.
Yeah.
I hope it's Bitcoin.
Well, yeah. Tell me why. Why do you think?
Because it's not really a payment system. Like it's shitty to say because I'm not a fan of Ripple, but it will probably be something like Ripple because they have the technology, the interledger that can move money globally across borders. Like right now, Bitcoin can't really do that the way that something like the Ripple tech can.
Can Litecoin do it?
No, I don't think so.
What do you guys think? Can Litecoin do it? I don't think Bitcoin could do it either. I don't even think it was meant for that. I think if it's going to be a store of value first, then Litecoin has to be the infrastructure on top that is for daily payments because it's way faster than Bitcoin. And it's the thing that's being built on top of Bitcoin, which is the only sound money that we've ever had. So I'd like to see it be a combination of Bitcoin and Litecoin, if that's what it has to be. If it was only Bitcoin, I'd like to see it just be that, which, as I'm talking more and more, I'm kind of realizing that I sound like a maximalist, which I don't know, maybe I am starting to become one, but I mean, it's the only sound money that we have. None of these other coins are, have the Satoshi consensus in place or anything else like that. So I'd like to hear your thoughts. I mean, the USD is, I think on its way out, to be honest, in the next, whoever knows, decade, 2 decades, I think, because I've actually started to look into this more and more as I've gotten involved in Bitcoin, because I actually like history as well. And I heard that podcast with Pomp and
Murad.
Yeah. And I started to look into it a lot more about just like, the evolution of fiat currency, or not just fiat currencies, but currencies in general, and how they all have a lifespan of about 100, 150 years tops. And the USD is like right in that time now where it's probably due for an upgrade. And it doesn't have to come with all of this negativity that's around it. Like, if Bitcoin comes and becomes that currency, it doesn't have to be this negative thing, because a lot of countries are actually trying to remove themselves from the USD because they know the USD is not pegged to anything. But as soon as they try, the US, sends in the big guns and and tells them, hey, not so fast. So you have to keep it pegged to the USD. But I think other countries are starting to get sick of it, and maybe they're starting to realize, hey, if there's this thing that's sound money, then maybe we can use that. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm a maximalist, so I think Bitcoin will take over and be like more of a winner takes most game, and I would have to agree with the Wolf. Like, as much as I'd like to see Litecoin be used for its intended purpose, I think it will be something like Ripple or a new technology that is similar to Ripple, where the banks have a lot more control, which is that's the big issue with Ripple that a lot of people in crypto have, but it's also the quality that Ripple has that can merge it to the mainstream. You know, like the banks trust themselves and they want to be the ones reaping all the benefits, and they would never use Litecoin or Bitcoin unless they control a majority share in it, or, you know, have their own interests in line with it. So that's why it probably will be Ripple, and I don't think Ripple will be going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
So here, let me ask you this. If it does happen, like we were just talking about, and, you know, there is a crash in the financial system, which there was in 2008, how many people really wanted to put their money in the bank or whatever the bank was saying, you know, use this? I mean, you look at it like Greece, for instance, or even Turkey now within the last summer, or Greece a couple of summers ago, when people were trying to take their own money out of their own bank accounts and they couldn't. Do you think at that moment, if they were being told, hey, use Ripple, the banks came out and said, use Ripple, you think the people would have said, all right, let's use that? I mean, I don't know. People are stupid, so they might, but
they would have resisted.
100%.
They would resist it, because it's like, oh, you're recommending us to use something and you guys just failed me. You know, my money is frozen inside your institution and there's a freeze on all of the banks. So I think they would appeal it, but at the end of the day, they don't have a choice. What's the alternative?
Well, maybe Litecoin, maybe Bitcoin, right? That's what I try to look on that side of it and hope. I mean, you know, maybe it will be that, maybe not. But in 2008, there was no alternative to turn around and say, okay, you know what, I'm going to put my money into Bitcoin. I mean, it had just come out, like no one knew about it. I mean, obviously it wasn't where it is now, where it's like, you know, market cap or whatever it is at now. So there was no alternative to turn to that. But now there is. So maybe people will be like, okay, you know what? I just lost however much, you know, money I lost. I mean, look, I'm Turkish and I see it happening in Turkey. 20% of males ages 18 to 35 own cryptocurrency in Turkey. So I mean, I looked at the report by ING and that's what it said. And I know why, because Turkey just had inflation go up to like almost 20% before it kind of leveled out. Yeah. And most of the young population there don't agree with the government that's been in place for almost 2 decades. So for 2 decades, they've been saying this guy, you know, shouldn't be here. And now that he is here, I have to trust him with my money. They were looking for an alternative, and now they have one in Bitcoin. So they're saying, you know what, I'd rather trust this sound money, this, you know, this thing that's backed by math and not by politics.
Yeah. So the average life expectancy for fiat currency is about 27 years. The US dollar is about to go on year 47 since 1972, because that's when Richard Nixon removed the gold being pegged to being US dollar being backed by gold, and then it became backed by thin air. To answer your
something like that, I didn't even know until I got into Bitcoin.
Yes.
So I didn't even know the term fiat currency until I got into Bitcoin.
Yeah, no, I mean, people in cryptocurrency started to become aware of what money really is, right? So and started to realize terms such as fiat, what the US dollar really is, which is really backed by nothing. It's backed by thin air. It's paper. And it's losing value every day because they're printing every single day. And you can see all around you, like the price of goods. I mean, hell, you go down to Trader Joe's down the street from my house, gallon of milk is like, what, $5.99 now? I remember when I came back to the Bay Area in 2010, it was like $3. You know what I mean? So it's like, what happened? So the cost of produce is going up. So to answer your question, in my opinion, it won't Ripple. So it's about store value. If you're basing it on payment network, well then hell, Visa's a $320 billion company, if I'm not mistaken. We're talking about trillions in value here, and how do they maintain that if the dollar is going to collapse? That's a tough question, man. I don't know. No, I don't see Litecoin, not at all. I think proof of work only works once, the right way, that is. So, and that would be with Bitcoin. But I don't think Bitcoin will be a world reserve currency. anytime soon, but I could be wrong. Who knows? But if I was going to pick a cryptocurrency that is going to succeed in the coming decades, it would be Bitcoin, because it is a store of value, and that's where its utility value is.
Yeah.
And that's how you preserve your wealth or your purchasing power, is in store of value. Why do you think all the Chinese are coming over here and buying up real estate? Look at Vancouver.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Trust me, we know about Vancouver.
Right? So
Yeah.
because they need to store their value somewhere. I'm not an economist. I'm not going to be pretentious here and claim I know what's going on in the Chinese market. I don't. Just through hearsay. Me and Dan, used to engage in this on these OTC market deals or potentials. We'd always hear about these Chinese people want to, buy up Bitcoin or somehow, some way with Bitcoin, they want to transfer their value out of China or out of Asia into America or other markets. And what are they usually doing? They're usually coming here and buying up luxury real estate, because that is also store value. So with that being said, if there is going to be a new currency that will be issued by the government, it'll probably be a cryptocurrency, but it'll be issued by the government, and it'll probably be a USD cryptocurrency. It'll be a public ledger. It'll totally eliminate money laundering, because they can see everything on the ledger, and they'll get you on your taxes. Everything will be transparent. That's just my opinion, but who knows? But I can easily see, not easily, I think it's inevitable that many people are going to get wrecked in the coming years
100%.
when the market collapses. That's why it's really important to follow the smart money. So if we look at it right now, the smart money meaning like we're talking about executives are leaving, Goldman Sachs, and going to work with crypto companies. I know this guy left Coinbase, but there was a Facebook executive left Facebook, went to work for Coinbase. And then because of conflict of interest, he had to leave Coinbase. But you're going to see more and more executives from Wall Street, from the financial sector, start to migrate over to the cryptocurrency market. And it's already happening. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason why Fidelity, TD Ameritrade are creating on-ramps for their accredited investors to buy up Bitcoin. My opinion, I think we're going to see Bitcoin drop in price. This is just my opinion. And I think we can see $1,000 Bitcoin in the coming very near future.
I hope so.
And I think we could be in a multi-year bear market. I don't know for sure. I'm just guessing here. But
we're already 1 year in.
We're 1 year in, but I think this could go for quite a few years. And maybe I'm just being negative. I don't know. And maybe not. I think we're going to see more volatility, but I think we're going to see $1,000 Bitcoin sometime in 2019. And it could be next month. It could be this month. I have no idea.
What makes you say that? Why 1,000?
Because rich people want cheap Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's
I have
why.
to agree with you.
Yep.
Rich people want cheap Bitcoin. They know where this thing is headed. There's a reason why. I remember last year, everyone was saying, oh, when the futures comes out, the institutional money's coming. Yeah, well, what happened? December 17th came, and that was the peak.
Yeah.
And ever since then, we've been dropping. Everyone's like, oh, Bactus coming. They're going to launch their futures exchange and the derivatives exchange. And then Fidelity and TD Ameritrade, they're going to launch their on-ramp for credit investors to purchase Bitcoin. Right. So we hear all these news and everyone automatically thinks, oh, well, shit, the institutional money's coming in. So there's going to be more volume. Therefore, the price is going to go up. Not necessarily. So in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I'm not claiming to be an economist or anything, but my opinion is I think we're going to see more volatility. Yes, because traders make money and institutions make money shorting everything as well as going long. And they fool the rest of the market, and the average investor gets screwed. And on top of that, I think they know that if you look at the fundamentals, I agree with this guy, Murad. I listened to his podcast as well. I think it's going to take a lifetime probably, but I think we're going to see Bitcoin eventually suck capital from other asset classes. Yeah. And the awareness is going to grow because we all got into this space. Yeah. From greed. Yes. Yours included. But we also got in because we're sick and tired of getting robbed, man. We're getting robbed every single year with this hidden tax called inflation. Every year it's getting tougher and tougher to build a business and to make money and to save money if you work at a job. Everything's just getting harder and harder and harder because cost of living is going up. Things are getting more expensive, right? It's just like I talked about, that crack in the ground is growing wider and wider. So people got tired and they said, hey, you know what? I'm tired of the government manipulating my money. I'm tired of the government taking my goddamn tax money and going basically taking over other countries, starting wars, meddling their business into other countries to rob them of their resources. You're from Turkey. My family's from Iran. I think, you know, we can relate on that matter to a certain degree. And people are fed up with just the tax rates are going up like every decade. Cost of living is going up almost every month. And they want to unplug themselves from the system. And Bitcoin gives you that opportunity to do that because Bitcoin is the only truly decentralized, trustless payment network that is not manipulated by any. Yeah, sure, the price is being manipulated. Yes, for obvious reasons. I think because we've been around for a while, we know rich people want cheap Bitcoin. Institutions want cheap Bitcoin because, in my opinion, they know what we've believed all along, that this thing is going to become a major asset class, probably overtake gold, and it'll be sitting there next to real estate and other major asset classes in the globe because its true utility is being a store of value. And I think we're going to see Bitcoin backed banks in the future. You know what I mean? And I think what the industry's lacking right now is a good, not just an on-ramp for the average retail investor to get into the space, but also custodian services. Is people are losing their Bitcoin left and right. They're getting hacked. You know what I mean? They're getting robbed at apartments in Thailand. I was in Thailand last year and this Russian couple got robbed for like a few $100,000 in Bitcoin by the Russian mafia in Phuket. You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody in last year in Manhattan got robbed at their apartment for $1 million worth of Ethereum at the time. Apparently they got their ass beat, dragged into the apartment. Dude made them just basically.
Yeah, someone I know in England who is a Bitcoin broker over there in London, and he was one of the largest Bitcoin brokers in London. He had a nice house out in the country, lived there with his wife and his kid. 4 guys, balaclavas, shotguns, pulled up at his house, made him empty out his wallets, basically. And he believes it was from an OTC deal that went a bit south. They basically found out his information, stopped talking to him, and then a week later, these guys turned up at his house and going after his Bitcoin. So yeah, it happens, man.
Yeah. So, you know, yeah, it's tough, man. Might have to move to Las Vegas.
Yeah, man.
The gun laws are like relaxed.
A huge issue.
Yeah.
Well, isn't there Blockchains LLC? The company, did you guys hear about this? That's like building a city outside of Reno.
Yeah.
And they're one of the biggest things that they have is custodian services, right? They have like cold storage under mountains and like under miles and miles of granite and like, you know, nuclear
resistance.
Yeah, nuclear resistant bunkers, basically, that they're going to put your, you know, private keys into. So, I mean, that'd be a nice start, right?
Yeah, but that's going to be years from now, man.
Yeah, that's going to be a while away. I've been saying though for a long time because a lot of my friends are like, "Oh, back's coming. We're going to have a bull run," and I'm like, probably not. I think when another actual bull run starts, when the institutional money actually starts flooding in, there has to be custodial services in place. Otherwise, that money's not coming in. Like institutions aren't going to risk billions and billions of dollars of their clients' money when it's not insured and like they can't put on a ledger wallet and take care of it, right? So I believe
that's the main reason why you see the Winklevoss twins working on their custodian service, because they know that it's exactly like you say, like which accredited investor, which institution wants to come in and risk, you know, hundreds of millions, potentially billions of dollars of their clients' money in an asset class that they can't even store securely.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
The big problem.
And on top of that, it's still, when I say manipulated, the price is still being manipulated as we see.
Yeah, that scares away the institutions.
Absolutely. That's why I don't think really institutional money is really in the game. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just I don't have any metrics to prove this, but this is just my opinion. Like, I don't think they're there yet. I think they're still sitting on the sidelines. I don't even think this ETF is going to get approved.
Nope. Come
You
on, man.
know,
Look at what's going on with fucking Craig Wright, Roger Ver, G Wu. Just that alone, the Twitter war, the hash war, ETF, no chance. The whole point, the whole thing that the SEC is saying is we cannot have an ETF when there is manipulation and fraud in the markets. And
yeah.
lo and behold, that's what we have right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, you know, and here's another thing too, man. Like, what do we need the ETF for, anyways? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think Satoshi created Bitcoin.
No.
You know, let me create this Bitcoin so I can make some rich people richer. And you know, we need to adhere to the institutions.
Yeah.
Like that. You know, if you're sitting around thinking like, if somebody got into investing into Bitcoin, thinking, you know what, I'm going to buy this thing because the ETF is coming and more, you know, liquidity is coming and this is an indicator that this is going, you know, to go up in price. You know, I don't think that's the right assessment. I think people really need to take the time to really learn and understand what Bitcoin is, and I highly recommend to read the Bitcoin Standard. You know, and I highly recommend to listen to that podcast by Anthony Pompliano with that guy Murat. I forgot his last name. And just listen to those guys, follow those guys as well, because this is why we got into this space, so we can unplug from this bullshit system that's robbing us every single day.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I think I'd highly recommend to really get educated on this. And then I'm not pretending like we all know. We just so much that we don't know. We're learning every single day, and whatever we're learning, we're discussing here. We want to talk about it here and share with you guys. And guys, please leave a comment below, you know, and join the discussion. And as we go live with these fireside chats, because we're going to be doing this more frequently, ask questions or chime in and give us your commentary, because there could be something we missed, right? There could be something that we're not seeing. And so look at this more as a discussion, as opposed to these guys are all experts and I should hang on every single word they're saying. We're just discussing. And we're trying to discuss because we want to learn from each other. We want to learn with everyone. We want to share what the hell we know already, because we've been in this space for a few years now and we've seen quite a bit. But there's a lot of people who've been in this space way longer and they know a lot more than us. So whatever we learn, we want to share with you guys. And by all means, click the like button, leave a comment below, and join the discussion. Leave your commentary or leave a question, and we'll be more than happy to answer or join the discussion with you. So, but yeah, man, I don't know. Well, let's see what happens. But I think I think we're going to be in a multi-year bear market. That's just my opinion. I hope I'm wrong.
What do you guys think of Ethereum?
Go ahead, Dan. You can start on that.
Yeah, Ethereum. Think of it how as a trader or as an actual as
however you want to answer it.
Well,
you could do a 2-part answer if you want.
So Ethereum is a pretty useful coin in that it has a utility. It creates infrastructure for the space and allows other people to build on its blockchain. As a trader, I'm pretty flat on it at the moment. I think it's pretty much bottomed out. I don't think we can, I don't think we'll see it go too much further. It's sitting like right around the equilibrium in this zone it's been ranging in right now. I don't think it'll go. I'm waiting for it to go sub 100 to see sub 100 Ethereum, but I don't necessarily think we'll be able to see it go that low. But overall, long term, I'm bullish on Ethereum. Like I think we will see we'll see Ethereum's high broken again. It could take a while, but with Ethereum, you're betting on Vitalik, you know, and you're betting on Joseph Lubin, and they've created a really great infrastructure so far, and I think they will continue to do so in the future. Like I'll take Vitalik over Roger Ver any day.
100%.
I concur.
100%. Yeah, man. It has a lot of potential.
Like Roger's a great marketer, but Ethereum is just such a sound infrastructure play and has an actual utility.
Right.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. I think they're years away. But yeah, I would say I would go long Ethereum as well. And this is not financial advice. I would, because they just have a lot of smart people in their community working and building on Ethereum. They just had DevCon 3, DevCon 3 or 5, I forgot which one, in Prague. And it was like 5 weeks ago. And you could see at the conference, it was all over the internet. It was like 3 floors of just huge like ballrooms of developers speaking about different projects, PhDs there. There's just a lot of very smart developers and PhDs who are building on top of Ethereum. And Ethereum is
they have the biggest, most rabid community, right?
Right.
And that's key for long-term sustainability.
Absolutely.
Is their community bigger than Bitcoin's community? Like for devs and stuff?
For devs, for sure. I don't know the exact statistics, but I would assume that it's significantly larger because Bitcoin is so much harder to develop on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see a lot of potential in Ethereum, but I think they're a long way away from being like, the price being at $1,000 was so overvalued, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And like, I've got friends that got into crypto after me and were like, yeah, I'm done with Bitcoin. I'm selling everything into Ethereum. Ethereum's going to overtake Bitcoin. And I'm just like, what?
The flipping
the reason it went to $1,000 is because all these ICOs pumped to the price. They were all collecting Ethereum. All these shit coins were launching ERC20 tokens on their network. That is the 2 main reasons why Ethereum went from $100 to $1,000. And if you look at the chart, it's just a straight line. There was no support, there was no resistance the whole way up. So when it comes back down, of course it's going to crash all the way back down because all these ICOs now in this bear market are dumping their ETH. All these guys that collected so much ETH are dumping it back onto the market. All these shit coins that launch their ERC20 tokens, no one's using their platforms. No one's using the dApps on ETH right now. So, I mean, I think the technology is good and it has a lot of potential, but it was way overvalued at $1,000.
Everything was overvalued. Yeah.
Everything was. Everything, even Bitcoin shouldn't have been that price. The technology for all of this shit ain't there yet. And the price just bubbled ahead of the technology. And this correction was bound to happen.
It was healthy. But here's my thing. There won't be any flipping. Ethereum will never take over Bitcoin.
No.
Because Bitcoin has now established itself as a store of value, and it's only going to grow from there in the coming years, right? So, but Ethereum is basically the app store, right?
Yeah.
And so let's say you're an investor and you're looking at Ethereum. Should I buy? Like, is it going to go up? We can't tell you to buy or not to buy. But if it's me, I'd be like, you know what? I think this might be a good time to start accumulating or DCAing, dollar cost averaging into Ethereum. If you're not a trader, you don't know how to read charts, and it's already actually, I just looked at the chart right now. It's below 100. It's like at 97 right now at the time of this recording, and it could drop lower because if my suspicion is correct, based on multiple traders that I talked to, even including Pro Trader Ed that we do our TA videos with, if Bitcoin drops to 1,000, Ethereum and everything else is dropping a hell of a lot lower. So
it moves with Bitcoin, which it shouldn't, but all these big guys, these whales, these hedge funds that are buying Bitcoin, they're also buying Ethereum. And when they're dumping their Bitcoin, they're dumping their Ethereum. So when Bitcoin dumps, and if it dumps to $1,000, where's the Ethereum going to go? It's going to go to like $60.
Yeah, it's gonna go lower. So I think Ethereum long term will do well. But if I'm looking for, like, let's say I'm brand new to the market, say you're a beginner, you're brand new. Again, this is not financial advice. If I'm looking for the safest route to get a good return on my money, then I would be looking at Bitcoin and nothing else. Everything else, even including Ethereum, is still speculative. But Ethereum does have an infrastructure. The scaling is going to take time because none of these dApps are really going to be able to flourish on Ethereum until they can scale and do thousands of transactions a minute, maybe a second. I don't even know if it's neat. You get these infrastructure plays that come out during the ICO days. Oh, this one does 100,000 transactions a second. Like, do you really need 100,000 transactions a second? You know what I'm saying? So,
nobody's using your blockchain and you need 5 million transactions a second.
Like, for what? Like everyone was selling these stories in 2017, and that's what inflated the market. It was just a bunch of storytelling, bunch of bullshit. But I agree with Dan. I think Ethereum is going to have a future. I think I think in order to see Ethereum's true value is once they solve the scaling issue, then we start to see some dApps being built on Ethereum that are onboarding thousands upon thousands of users
Yeah.
that are using their dApps every single day. And I think the gaming space may be where it's at. When I say the
Yeah,
game,
go
for
ahead.
it. No, go for it. Go
No,
for it.
I was just gonna say that because that's exactly what I was thinking is the major use case for Ethereum. And it's
Yeah.
funny you mentioned that Ethereum is sub 100 because I just checked and you're right, it's down 6%. It's 90. It's sitting at $98 right now, and it could possibly go lower in with the market conditions, but the reality is that long term, these dApps are going to be what drives the valuation of Ethereum. And the best use case, and we've already seen it proven, is the gaming industry. Like,
Right.
what created the biggest clog on the Ethereum network? It was CryptoKitties, you know? And
Right.
CryptoKitties is like, what is that even? Nobody's really using it. I mean, people are paying like so much money for, you know, their CryptoKitty card or whatever it may be right now. But once we have something that is actually usable, like that can target this mainstream gaming niche, this is the future. Like e-gaming is getting so big right now, and as soon as we have a real big crossover game like a Fortnite type game that's built on ERC20, we're going to see people flood into Ethereum, and the valuation of the token value will skyrocket, and it will be justified because there will be people using it and creating utility of the token.
Exactly.
Well, here's my question though. Like a Fortnite exists, and it exists in the traditional sense, right? It's a game, and it exists without Ethereum. Why would a game maker take that risk and try to make it on Ethereum? Unless it's a place like, you know, a casino game or something like that.
You wouldn't build a game on a blockchain because a blockchain is not made. A blockchain is made for basically more for accounting. It's not to put, like, if you ever hear these companies saying, oh, you know, we're putting video on the blockchain, it's bullshit because the blockchain is a slow database. It's very slow.
Exactly.
So what we're talking about is like the actual currency within a game being on the blockchain, not the actual game and the graphics, the code and the source code being the block. That wouldn't work. You know,
Like V-Bucks on the blockchain.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Like Fortnite, it's a free game, and they're out there smashing all these paid games, you know, that companies spend hundreds of millions to develop, and they're doing it. Their business model is in-app purchases, essentially, you know,
Exactly.
it's buying their own currency and spending it in their store. And as soon as we have a crossover game like that is generating a lot of revenue, and people are spending whatever token, CryptoKitty token, to, you know, buy whatever they're buying inside of the game, like that's going to be huge for Ethereum.
Yeah. It's coming, man. Esports are the future. When you think about the kids nowadays, they don't watch sports, like real sports. They're on their iPads watching Fortnite and Overwatch and all these other games. And you've got these companies now that are running tournaments and people like making big money from playing these games. So I see that as the future, man.
Yeah, so I think that's where we're going to see Ethereum's use case is one of these dApps that's really going to break through. But in order for them to break through and to onboard a ton of users, Ethereum has to scale. So that remains to be seen. You know what I mean? Because proof of work is the consensus mechanism they use right now. Apparently, it's supposedly
they're changing though, right?
They're trying to move over to some hybrid of proof of stake and proof of work. Again, I'm not a blockchain engineer. I don't know exactly how that works. All I know with proof of work is that, and they have second layer protocols they're building as well. I don't know. Proof of work, as far as we know right now, it doesn't scale. And we can see that with Bitcoin's network or blockchain, which is why they're building the Lightning network and so on and so forth. Until we see that, if I had to make a guess on outside of Bitcoin, which one's going to succeed of these altcoins, I would say Ethereum. They got the biggest developer community, and they have some brilliant minds building on top of Ethereum. So I agree with Dan 100%. I think.
Yeah, I used to be real bullish on EOS, but in the last few months, I think we've really seen Ethereum rise as the king in infrastructure coins, and I agree with you too. If any
What do you,
alt does survive, it's going to be Ethereum and Ripple.
what do you say to people that talk about the founder of EOS? Wasn't he the same guy as Steemit?
Daniel Larimer, yeah.
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 And like
He-
he's known as a scammer, if I'm not mistaken. What do you say to that?
Yeah, he has. I mean, he has some history of pretty blatantly scamming communities. So I think he created something that could have been usable and could have been great, but like you said, he is kind of a scam. Like at the end of the day, how everything was unboxed, it left a real sour taste in the developer community, and they're not going to support that long term.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, that's the problem, man, with these coins too, right? So they're kind of tied to a central figure. Just imagine,
Right.
like, God forbid, let's just say Vitalik got hit by a bus. What do you think? What do you think people are going to do with Ethereum?
Oh, it's done.
They're going to, I want to say done, but they're probably going to dump it, right?
Yeah.
So the point is that you have, this is why this guy Satoshi, or if it's a group or a person, who knows, a singular mind or a group of minds.
I was in it Craig Wright.
Highly doubt it. This is why they went anonymous.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because you can't have. See, I think there's a confusion right now, right, between like cryptocurrency and like the tech startup world, and a lot of, you're getting this tech startup mentality coming into cryptocurrencies, where there's a central figure and they're the main promoter and so on. But that's the problem. That's the problem with their cryptocurrency, is that it's very much tied to one or two people. And if those one or two people dip or leave, you know, that could affect the price and the market sentiment behind that cryptocurrency, because none of these cryptocurrencies have a big community like in Ethereum, especially Bitcoin, in terms of market sentiment. More so Bitcoin than Ethereum, of course. But so when this guy is like, hey, you know, I got an idea. This guy, Dan Larimer, on the news the other day, say, hey, I got an idea. There's this I think I have a way of solving this issue with this consensus mechanism. I don't remember the exact details, and I'm working on it. Well, what does that got to do with EOS? They just raised what, like $4 billion in the past like 2 years, a year and a half. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, people need to realize, don't look at these people in the crypto space who are building these potentially phenomenal products or projects as Jesus. A lot of these people are fucked up. Like, a lot of these people, they're very like sociopath. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're very, they're kind of crazy, you know? And
Well, it's still like the Wild
give a
West,
shit.
right?
Yeah.
And that's what is attracting all these shady characters,
Right.
because this is just another community of people that they can go in and project their image and their confidence onto this
Right.
large group of investors who are supposedly tech savvy, and they're being fooled over and over and over and over and over, because there's no regulations. It's pretty lawless. And I mean, you got people like, some of the most famous people right now in crypto are known scammers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's, you know,
It's a shame. It's an absolute shame.
yeah, it is a shame. And this is a good wake up call for people who got wrecked. For every
Yeah.
story you hear about, this guy invested in his ICO and made like $2 million, there's 1,000 people that got wrecked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how it is even in internet marketing. You see how this social proof, this on these sales pages where there's like 3 testimonials, like, oh, I made 10 grand following this guy's system, but they don't mention the 95 other people that, you know, lost their money because those tactics or strategies never really worked. It's just one person got lucky, or 3 people got lucky and they milked it. You know, so it's like, you got to really be careful. You got to tread lightly when investing in these companies. That's why it's so important. I tell people, my own friends are like, dude, you got to network. You can't be listening to people on YouTube, including us. Like, you got to get out there and get to events. If you live in some state where it's a flyover state, or a country where there's not much going on in the blockchain space, you got to try your best. I mean, if you're really serious about making money in this space, whether it's through investing or building or even getting a job, I highly recommend to get to some events. You don't need to go to these $600, $1,000 events, which I think it's kind of bogus. but try to, or even volunteer at those events. You get in for free. The point is, you want to network, you want to get into these conversations, see what's really going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just go to the meetups. There's like local
Yeah.
meetups all over the place, and if there's
Absolutely.
not one in your city, start your own.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
As a matter of fact,
Mehmet and I, this whole year, have been going to a lot of crypto conferences. We went to the one in the D10E in Cayman Islands. Went to Puerto Rico. We've met all of
nice.
the big dogs in this game, right? And we've got a good insight on what's going on. And it's funny because some of these ICOs that we met the founders, and some people we know invested millions and millions into these ICOs, and a lot of them got fucked.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to mention names, but one ICO we know, one of the guys who has turned out to be a known scammer ran away with like millions of dollars. And it's just like, we've seen so much of this now over this last year that we kind of like know what's going on, and like know who the bad players are, and know.
Well, you gotta look.
I heard
We
about
didn't
that
know
guy.
the signs to look for, right? Like you don't know when you're first starting out the signs to look for, especially during the bull run. The bull run was so easy to make money, but it was probably easier to lose money because everyone is talking about the next Bitcoin. And as soon as they talk about it, you look on, you refresh your Blockfolio, it's up 15%. So you're like, oh crap, I'm going to miss out. FOMO kicks in, then you're putting your money into it, and then it's down 15, and it's down another 15, and then all of a sudden you've just lost nearly half of whatever you put in, right? So it was so easy to lose money for a lot of people that didn't know what the hell was going on. And like when I first started, I was very similar. Like if I got into a coin and a friend of mine was into a coin and he told me about it, I'm like, okay, like I'll move some money into it too. But I wasn't really doing the research or looking for the signs or any of that stuff. It was all very, very speculative. And like, I'm kicking myself, you know what I mean? And I've made the mistake. So I'm thinking, look, I've made those mistakes. I don't want other people to make the same mistakes when the next bull run comes, because it's going to come. I mean, it might not be this year, might not be next year, but it's going to come, right? And when it comes, you have to be ready for it, because the same things are going to happen. Because I don't think regulation is going to come in as fast as we think it's going to come in. The SEC is starting to come down on like Floyd Mayweather and DJ Khaled. Well, that's great, but that still doesn't mean, run-of-the-mill guy can't put up a website like Initiative Q and say their coin that doesn't even exist yet is going to go to 20 grand and collect a bunch of data. Like that just happened a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, that regulation, I'm sure is going to come, but it's still, I think it's going to be the Wild West for a little bit longer than we anticipate. And when the bull run starts, a lot of retail money is going to come back into it. And all we want to do is try to educate people and say, look, man, sure, there's money to be made, but you have to be smart with it, because there's no such thing as like a free lunch. So
actually, you'd be surprised. The SEC is coming in quick.
I mean, they're coming in, but it doesn't mean that
they're coming in. I know. I have friends who are talking directly to the SEC. They're coming in fast
for the ICO stuff.
All the ICOs that fucked up in this past 2 years, they're about to nail their asses and I hope they do.
And they should.
Yeah,
I hope they do. Good.
Yeah.
I hope that. I know a lot of people have a problem with the SEC. They didn't really give clarity. I get that. They didn't really give clarity on giving a framework for how ICOs, or whatever you want to call them at this point, should operate. But hey, man, look, a lot of these guys fucked up. These guys made like a lot of these ICOs, like they raised money not only at the wrong time, but they did it the wrong way. Doing bounties, etc., which that's specifically against the SEC rules and regulations, which is considered a bribe. Saw quite a few of these. A lot of these guys about to get nailed into the wall, as it should be, because they cost a lot of investors money, man. A lot of people invested in these ICOs, and next thing you know, the amount of money they invested in is like they're down 50% after the ICO, right? But then all the guys who got into the friends and family round at like 90% discount of the ICO, I'm just throwing out an arbitrary number, I really don't know, are making money. That doesn't make sense to me. It's all storytelling, and it's all a play. Guess who ends up holding the bags is the people who are naive, and the people who've never really had any experience when it comes to research, vetting companies, and even if you do research and vetting, how much can you really find out if you don't know what's going on behind the scenes? So they took advantage of people.
That's exactly it. Most of the people who got wrecked in this last bull run are people who are inexperienced investors. They've never, and like you said, a lot of it is driven by your network, and someone in your network is like, oh, so and so coin is doing real well, or is going to do real well, or I know somebody who's about to pump this coin, or for whatever reason. And for me, in the last bull run, my exit point was when my barber told me to buy Ripple, and Ripple was at $2.50, and I'm like, damn, I can't be taking financial advice from my barber. Like, that doesn't make sense,
yeah.
And a lot of people think of it in that way. And they thought, oh, maybe I can make that extra 50 cents, that extra 20% on this investment. But they didn't know, they thought it was going to double or triple from there, But when everyone is greedy, it's time to be fearful.
Yeah,
exactly.
man.
Yeah, for sure. And then when everyone's fearful, that's when it's time to start taking inventory of where you're at, and check your risk tolerance. And this ain't financial advice, but you may want to start looking into dipping your toes into this market when everyone's getting wrecked. You know what I mean? So no, it's I think there will be a bull run eventually, but I think it's gonna be slow growth. And I'm not saying we're going to continue going down for the next 2 years. No. When I say a bear market, I think it's just going to be slow growth. I think what's really going to make the next catalyst is not going to be hype. It's going to be something along the lines of a breakthrough in the technology.
Value.
Exactly. It's going to be fundamentals, or it's going to be, we're going to have to see a country's economy collapse.
Or I don't think we have to wait that long for that.
Or we're going to see, I'm not talking about a third world country. I'm talking about some first world, maybe the Euro, maybe the European Union, something.
Well, look what's going on in Paris right now.
What is going on in Paris? Don't they have riots in the streets right now because of taxation or something like that? If I'm not mistaken.
Well, I mean, they're kind of sick of it, aren't they? Like, you know what? I think there's just this collective, just awakening. I think Fight Club is happening right now. Just like, people are kind of just sick of it, man. Like, you go to university, you do what you're told, you do everything. Like, I know people that are just getting out of med school. Like, they're doctors now, and they're in so much debt. And it's hard to find, you know what I mean, a job for a doctor. Like, are you serious? Like, not one that pays well, or, it's definitely not what it was supposed to be. We were all promised this thing, like it was supposed to be this, and this, do this, and you'll get this, and made a bunch of promises by everyone that we believed in. And now we're starting to get all this information and data, even like watching documentaries that, our parents and grandparents just didn't have access to, just about like what's really going on. You know what I mean? And once you start to really understand what's going on, you're saying, hold up now. Like, this is sickening. Like, I'm not going to continue to live this. I'm going to try to unplug. And we didn't have any way to do it. And now we have Bitcoin. So maybe that's our savior. Or maybe it's another way they enslave us. I don't know, but hopefully it's not.
No, I don't think that's the case. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, man. I mean, look, let's zoom out a little bit, right? Like, if you want to make money, this is probably the best time in our lives to make money. Let's zoom out from cryptocurrencies. Our parents didn't have the internet. They didn't have social media.
Yeah, it's true.
They didn't have YouTube. You know what I mean? They didn't have Instagram. There's so many platforms right now where you can build your own, essentially your own audience, and monetize that. So there's so many opportunities that
they didn't have.
So all they knew was, hey, go to school, get good grades, because that was the path back then. So
yeah, but there's still, that's where you got to kind of look at parents and start, you want to shake them a little bit, especially parents now that are still telling their kids to do that. And you're like,
well, because they don't know any better. That's the reality. That's what worked for them. So they're going to tell you what worked. So it's up to us as adults to kind of figure out what really works in today's world. You know what I mean?
Calm down with calling us adults, man. I don't know. I got so.
No. I'm not. I'm not say us as adults. Like, it's our.
No, it's true. I know what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying? No, nothing. I wasn't trying to be offensive. I'm just saying, like, this is so what I'm saying. Well, I'm talking to the audience. Like, if you're here, if you're a young guy, right? You're a young guy, young girl. You're in your early mid-20s, and you've heard your whole life, like, listen, go to school, get good grades, get a degree. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, But what I'm saying is like economically, it may not be feasible to just go that route. You're going to have something else, right? So if you're looking to build your own asset where you're making money, eventually you're printing money to a certain degree. That's metaphorically speaking. You have all these tools at your hand now that our parents didn't have 20 years ago, which is the internet. You know what I mean? And social media. So social media is still, in my opinion, is still somewhat of a bit, there's still a land grab in social media. I didn't want to take the conversation away from that, but since it came up, there's a land grab. So build an audience, build your own personal brand and offer a product on the back end that is in line with your passion and what you know and whatever your expertise is.
Yeah, this is the most abundant opportunity has ever been in the history of the world. If you think about it, like even 5 years ago, to put up a website was much more difficult. Like you had to hire a programmer, you had to do this and that, graphic design, you had to merge the graphics with the programming. And now you just, pay like $100 or $50 and you could get like a website builder and build a website in like 2 hours on WordPress and be done with it and throw it up on the internet and sell a product, So today we live in a very privileged world, but that's like a double-edged sword, right? Like people can't see the opportunity when there's so much of it sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So it's almost like analysis paralysis to a certain degree.
Exactly.
So
I read this thing. It was like, I forget the guy's name, but he's really like successful. The guy that started CD Baby. I don't know if you guys. Anyways, he's like really successful guy now. He's like he's an early investor in like Uber and like Twitter and that now. Anyways, he was just saying like if he could talk to himself when he was around 30, he would just say like, "Don't be a donkey." And I was reading that. I was like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "Well, the tail of the donkey that you put the donkey in front of water and food. He'll look at the water and he'll look at the food and he'll look at the food and he'll look at the water, and then he'll just collapse and die from thirst and hunger because he doesn't know what to choose, like whether to drink water first or eat first." Yeah. So like when we get to our age, I think that happens to a lot of us. I know it did for me for a couple of years. It was just like, I want to do something. And every day I'm thinking about, I want to do something. And I'm not doing anything. Like dive in, man, like try something. If it's not working out, then, try something else, but don't just sit on the sidelines waiting to jump in and hoping to jump in. Just do it, man. Like, what do you have to lose? Like, we're on this call now because of an engagement group from Instagram that, we're all a part of. And that was just something that, like I put together with another guy and Pete as well. So like, one thing could lead to another. I mean, you guys are right. There's a lot of opportunities. Just a shame not a lot of people, actually take that opportunity.
Well, it's the old proverb, right? Like that Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago and the second best time to plant it is now, right? And a lot of people don't want to take that jump because it's a risk and there's all these external factors they think they can encounter, but really the decision is internal and everything you're scared of is internal. And when you overcome that fear, it's so empowering. Like you can't blame people who were told to go to school, get a degree, follow that path, that cookie cutter path, because the people who gave them that advice are giving them that advice through their own life experience. Right. And now is a big pivot point in society where people are starting to realize the education system was created for industrialization and it's no longer relevant to the times that we're living in today, and hopefully if you're watching this, if we could leave you with any message, it's that, today is your time and you control your destiny. And if you don't look out for yourself, nobody else will. Like you're going to be building somebody else's dream the rest of your life. And there is no other safer time, quote unquote, in history to build your own dream. Now is the best and I don't want to say easiest, but it's the simplest to build your own dream. You have the most resources available to actually go out and do that.
That's real. Yeah, for sure. I think we should end it here because I think we're coming up on the hour. But yeah, I would just say, guys, you know, the market is shitty. I get it. If you're watching this video, this is the best time to acquire skills. Okay. So maybe you want to learn how to trade. I don't know. Maybe that's something that interests you. Learn it. I mean, if you're investing, I think it's essential to at least have a basic understanding of how to read charts. I think that's very imperative, especially if you're investing and you're interested in this space. It's not investment advice, but I think it's the time to acquire skills, it's the time to network, get to events, meet people in the space, and build relationships. Because whenever the next opportunities come, whatever opportunity it is in this space, you want to have the relationships in this space to be able to potentially get into these opportunities. I'm not promoting anything whatsoever. What I'm trying to make is it's all about knowing people and building relationships and networking yourself into circles so you can kind of have a better, I guess you can say, finger on the pulse of the market, so you can make better decisions for yourself and for your financial future. I think that's really important. And when we do these discussions, we're just talking. So join the conversation, click the like button on all our channels, leave a comment below, and just let us know what you think. And make sure you click the subscribe button as well on everyone's channel so you can be informed whenever we do upload new content to each other's channels, especially these fireside chats. So you can also join the conversation. We're probably going to go live as well on the next live stream so we can have a live discussion with the audience as well. We'll try to bring on more people as well so we can get into some controversial conversations about cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, and you know where we think the future is headed. And again, none of this should be taken as financial advice. This is just our opinions. This is just a discussion. Take it for what it is, but always do your own research and do your own homework. And any final words, guys?
No,
I think you hit it on the head.
Yeah, I'd just say leave us a comment below, boys. Hit subscribe button if you have contradictory view. Please, all you keyboard warriors, let us hear from you. Leave us a comment below, and we'll address it on the next Fireside chat here.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys. And we're going to click the